Shannon Sharpe called me trying to do an interview. I said, no, Medea, I ain't doing no interview.
My name of
yeah,
and I'm gonna put the DMs. And I don't like doing this.
The feud between podcast host Shannon Sharpe and comedian Mie Epps isn't ending anytime soon, as both men are still having a go at each other despite Sharpe's reconciliatory efforts. The seemingly harmless incident is being blown out of proportion, with many sources insinuating that Mike Epps has something sinister up his sleeves. What has the comedian been accused of doing, and what are the details of the plan? Mike Epps and Shannon Sharpe might square off at the NBA All-Star Weekend, and trust me, it won't be a pretty sight if they do. For starters, I personally don't think Mike Epps would want to face someone as huge as Shannon Sharpe, who coincidentally happens to be a former NFL player. Interestingly, Epps appears to be towing that same line, insinuating that he had grown past those things. But who wouldn't? Anyway, if you're living under a rock, let me bring you up to date on what's happening in the real world. The issue between Shannon Sharpe and Mike Epps began a few days ago when Epps called out Sharpe on stage for his now famous interview with Cat Williams. The comedian called Sharpe gay and said he looked like Medea's sister. He also referred to Sharpe's fashion sense, claiming that it made him look gay. However, what Epps said that started the whole brouhaha was at the beginning of the joke when he claimed that Sharpe messaged him for an interview. Epps appeared to be disturbed by the questions Sharpe asked Cat Williams regarding his role in Friday After Next. He observed that Sharpe was trying to bait Cat Williams into disparaging him, which is why Epps called him out on stage. Shannon Sharpe called me trying to do an interview, Epps started. I said, no, Medea, I ain't doing no interview, so you can sit across from me and look at my balls when I'm sitting down. I thought he was going to attack Cat. The show is called Shay Shay. The guy's telling you. Put a wig on that, guy, and tell me if that ain't Medea's sister. On his podcast with Chad Johnson, Sharpe clapped back at Epps, claiming that he never messaged the comedian about coming on his show. The visibly angry Sharpe reiterated that he wasn't hurt by the gay comments Epps made, but he didn't like the lies that the comedian was spewing. Though he didn't mention Epps by name, we all knew who the cap fit. I don't care about all that other stuff. You can say I'm gay. I don't care about that, said Sharpe, because I won't chase a lie, but I won't let you lie on my name. He then threatened to release the messages, proving that it was Epps who made the first move. Say my name again, and I'm gonna release the DM, because you're lying. You said I reached out to you to come on Club Shay Shay, and you're a mofo lie. Now when I see you, I'm gonna see if you're about that. I'm gonna see if you want to say what you've been saying, trying to get some jokes because you got mad because Cat Williams did what he did. Sharpe then repeated his caution, baiting Epps to mention his name again, and he would release all the messages of him begging for an interview. Sharpe, who appeared angry, then directed some thinly veiled insults and threats at the comedian, insinuating that things might get physical if they ever crossed paths. He continued, say your little jokes, get your little laugh off. Have fun, but just don't lie and say I said something when I didn't. I'ma tell you what somebody told me one time. What is jokes to you is death to somebody else. Mike Epps, not the one to back down easily because of a threat, issued a response to Sharpe on his Instagram handle. According to him, so many people have said many things about the podcast host, but he was surprised that he chose to fight him. So many people talk crazy about you, but now you want to fight me? Epps wrote. Epps then clarified that he rather asked Sharpe to invite him on the show and went ahead to explain the reasons why he wanted to come. He wrote, I DM'd you to get on the show because you brought my name up when you were sitting there with Cat, and you were trying to get him to talk crazy about me, but he didn't. Mike Epps then continued his Medea taunts, claiming that Shannon looked all zesty and feisty. He clarified that he wasn't calling him gay, but he did compare Sharpe's looks to rapper Big Freedia. He said, you did look like Medea sitting there. You were looking zesty. I'm not saying you gay. You looked like Big Freedia sitting there. You need to take those tight shirts off with the muscles. Many fans started blaming Sharpe for blowing the whole issue out of proportion. They argued that Mike Epps didn't insult his personality, and his tongue may have slipped when he said Sharpe invited to Club Shay Shay. After all, he was up on stage doing his thing and didn't have the benefit of carefully weighing his words before letting them out. They thought that the comedian just wanted to make his audience laugh and intended no ill towards the former NFL star. So, Sharpe trying to get all physical with Mike Epps was unnecessary in their estimation. They thought that since Sharpe allowed comedians to say wild things about other people on the show, he should be able to stomach wild things others said about him. Though I can't tell whether the criticisms got to him, Sharpe finally calmed down and apologized for some of the words he used. He then said that he would be having a sit-down with Mike Epps to iron out their differences and hopefully come to an amicable conclusion. He took to Twitter to give the good news. I and Mike Epps have decided to have a man-to-man conversation in Indy at NBA All-Star Weekend to discuss our differences. We both realized this situation should have been handled differently. I apologize to family, friends, friends, loved ones, and my fans. Meanwhile, Mike Epps has refused to reciprocate the gesture. Many fans thought that it was in their best interest to at least apologize for certain remarks. According to sources, a section of Sharpe's fans are suspecting that the Epps might be planning to end Sharpe in one of his comedy routines, which is why he hasn't apologized yet. Mike Epps is known for clowning people, with the latest of his victims being Cat Williams. At a show in Las Vegas, the comedian stated that he was insulted that Cat Williams didn't clown him. "I was insulted that Cat Williams didn't insult me," he started. "Man, I need some press too." The man said he ain't never gotten high with anybody I've gotten high with before. However, he sat up and did a whole 8-ball one time. Champagne, cigarettes, all night. Cat walks around and says, "It's beautiful." Interestingly, Cat and Epps have been in each other good books since they both starred in the Ice Cube produced movie, Friday After Next. The last movie they both appeared in was in 2021's Meet the Blacks 2. Continuing his set on stage, Epps revealed that whatever Cat said on stage was the truth and told his audience that he called Cat, Kevin Hart, and Cedric The Entertainer after the interview. "I called Kevin and I called Cedric, but Cedric didn't answer the phone. I never had Steve Harvey's number, that man. I tried to call him, but I called Kevin and told him to beat the heck out of him, catch Cat somewhere and whoop the heck out of him." Meanwhile, during Cat's turn on the Club Shay Shay, he exposed a lot of things going on in the industry, which some people believe may be one of the reasons why Epps might want to end Sharpe. According to the sources, he feared that if Shannon wasn't stopped, he might continue to have guests on his show that would spill all the tea in the comedy industry. The sources indicated that it was via Cat's interview that they got to know that Kevin Hart was an industry plant. According to Cat, Kevin just came out of nowhere, and in his first year, he had his first movie and TV show. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian who came to LA, and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person, Cat said. He explained that there was no comedian to have ever done that before or after Kevin Hart. Meanwhile, he doesn't have a memory of Hart selling out an auditorium or getting a standing ovation. He also insinuated that Hart could be a member of the Illuminati and had sold his soul to the devil, hence all the successes he'd achieved in his relatively short career. He also pointed out that black male actors who ever wore a dress in a movie were made to do so for money. It can be recalled that Kevin Hart claimed that he would never wear a dress because of the stigma associated with it. However, a few years later, he was spotted donning a dress in one of the SNL skits, with many, including Cat Williams, pointing out that it was part of an initiation process. Sharpe then asked Cat whether he didn't fear any backlash from Kevin. Cat answered, "Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why you know what the no one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is to act like it didn't happen." He also exposed how some comedians got jealous of their colleagues, that they did all they could to steal their shine. He explained that some comedians were in the business of calling up movie producers to take the roles of their colleagues. One person, Cat alleged, who did that to his colleague was talk show host Steve Harvey. According to him, Steve Hart and some members of the traditional kings of comedy were jealous of Bernie Mac. He explained that they treated Bernie Mac badly and disrespected him during their time together. Thus, when Bernie passed and they came for him to replace Bernie, he turned down the opportunity. He particularly mentioned Steve Harvey as the main person who openly hated Bernie Mac and even called studios to take roles already handed to Bernie. Illustrating his point, he told Sharpe that Steve Harvey once called the Ocean's 11 producers to play the character Frank Catton, which had already been given to Bernie. However, the studios turned him down and stuck with their initial choice to play that role, a role that Bernie pulled off brilliantly. He then took a swipe at Harvey, claiming that Hollywood producers wouldn't want to cast him in their movies because he had no range. This the same man that hated on Bernie Mac with this same thing. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You have to have range. Interestingly, Ed Lover, a close friend of Bernie Mac up until he passed, confirmed Cat's assertions on Club Shay Shay. According to him, whatever the veteran comedian spewed during the now famous interview was the truth. He confirmed the comedy industry's cruelty and Steve Harvey's alleged underhand tactics. The stuff that Cat Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to try to get Bernie's role on Ocean's 11 and that kind of stuff, Bernie told me out of his own mouth, the New York native said. I believe Bernie Mac when he said Steve Harvey hated on him. Cat also exposed how some industry players stole jokes from fellow comedians and performed them without acknowledging the original owner. Once again, Cat mentioned Steve Harvey as the prime example of a comedian who stole other people's jokes. According to Cat, Steve once copied Mark Curry's Hangin' with Mr. Cooper and turned it into the Steve Harvey Show. He said, the same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. He He then claimed that the talk show host fooled everyone into thinking that he had the best hairline in the industry, only for them to realize that it was a man's wig. Now, Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit. And then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. Mark Curry himself has accused Steve Harvey of plagiarizing a set he once did for a Halloween special. According to Curry, he was at home when a well-wisher called him to inform him that Steve was on TV using material from Curry's routine. Curry immediately switched on the TV only to find out that what the caller said was true. Mark claimed he called up Harvey and told him to stop using his material and admonished him to retell the joke better next time. Another comedian Kat accused of stealing people's jokes was Cedric The Entertainer. This time, Kat accused Cedric of taking material from his routine and presenting it as his. Kat recalled when Cedric used to visit the Comedy Store to watch him perform. One time, after watching Kat's performance, Cedric went backstage and congratulated him. However, Cedric had other plans. According to Kat, Cedric stole the last joke he performed, which was his best joke, and used it in one of his routines. He explained that that was his very best joke, which Mark Curry helped him polish. "This is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke. And it's my last joke. And it's my closing joke. 1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View." Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy, and he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. However, unfortunately for Cedric, Kat had already performed the joke twice on BET's comedy show, and the producers loved it so much that they included it in their commercials. Speaking on Club Shay Shay concerning the plagiarism committed by Cedric, Kat said, "He thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know. The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice. It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they made it part of the commercial." Kat then questioned Cedric's credentials as an entertainer because, in his own estimation, Cedric couldn't sing, dance, or even write jokes. He also called Cedric a walrus and claimed that he did 4 comedy specials, which were so bad that many TV networks didn't want to buy it or show them. When Club Shay Shay posted the clip of Kat's accusations against Cedric the Entertainer on their Instagram handle, he responded by claiming that Kat's version of events can't dent his image and reputation. He was adamant that his work was a testament to his ingenuity as a comedian. He wrote in the comments section, "Revisionist history, regardless of whatever Kat's opinion. My career can't be reduced to one joke Kat Williams claims as his. I've been in over 40 movies. My specials and brand speak volumes for who I am." However, the 59-year-old didn't stop there. He came back to the same comment section to mention the shows he's produced and the venues he's covered. "The people I have put on include Kat in the Hat at the Gibson Amphitheater." Cedric then called Kat Williams corny and told him that his words wouldn't get as much mileage as he'd hoped for. He then advised Kat to stay in his lane and focus on his business. "All that tough talk is corny AF. I'm a grown man, and none of that S gonna go like you think. You do you, and I got this over here." Curiously, Cedric, Steve, and Kevin Hart weren't the only comedians who felt the brunt of Kat Williams' exposure of the industry on the Club Shay Shay. Another person to fall victim was popular comedian radio host Ricky Smiley. Ricky had already been on an interview stating that the role of Money Mike in Friday After Next was supposed to be given to him, but it eventually went to Kat. However, Kat called him a liar, saying that over 200 people auditioned for the role, and the producer eventually chose him to play it. He told Shannon Sharpe, "This man told you he had Kat Williams' role. He was going to be Money Mike, and Kat Williams was going to be the Santa Claus," Williams said. "We auditioned in Los Angeles. I was audition no 201. 200 black comedians auditioned for the role of Money Mike with me. You're saying all 201 of us was auditioning, and you had already had the role and had already shot the role in 4 days?" Kat explained that Ricky was so egregious that he inserted in his contract that he would never work again with him until he wore a dress. That's why Ricky got the role of Bernice Jenkins in the movie First Sunday. He revealed to Sharpe that Ricky and Tyler Perry couldn't play a man to save their lives. They were stuck on playing the role of disciplinary matriarchs. In his response, Ricky Smiley claimed that he had no reason to tell a lie against the producers of the movie and Kat Williams. According to Smiley, the original Money Mike wasn't supposed to be a pimp. However, the producers later added the pimp dimension, which he thought Kat portrayed excellently. Smiley then admitted that there was no way he could have pulled off the MoNique character the way that Cat Williams did. On the claims that it was Cat Williams that made him wear a dress in the movie First Sunday, Smiley explained that that was his decision and his decision only. He explained that there was nothing demeaning or emasculating about wearing a dress when he had to put food on the table. He expressed his disappointment in having to respond to baseless accusations by Cat Williams and wished him all the best. However, a few days after his response, Ricky Smiley uploaded a short clip of him crying uncontrollably. Though he said nothing in the clip, many entertainment portals surmised the comedian and radio host might have been affected by the words of Cat Williams. They thought that Cat's explosive revelations of the entertainment industry, and Smiley in particular, were the reasons for the tears. Some even extended the blame game to Shannon Sharpe for allowing Cat to rant on a man like Ricky Smiley without stopping him. However, Smiley shut down all those rumors when he explained the reason for crying in that social media clip. According to him, the anniversary of his son's passing was coming up, and he was grieving. But what brought about the tears was the gospel song that he was playing in the background. He continued that the song struck a chord within, and before he could say jack, tears were rolling down his cheeks. Thus, there was no way Cat would make him shed those tears because he had a thicker skin. A few days after Cat's viral interview that shook up the comedy industry and exposed some of its evils, Shannon Sharpe was at his game again. This time, he brought up the controversial actress and comedian MoNique Hicks, who has had a number of bones to pick with some of the top producers in Hollywood. Many fans felt that it was as if Sharpe wanted to trend on the back of the controversial comments that celebrities made, but worse still, they thought that Sharpe was on a quest to expose the industry. As expected, MoNique didn't disappoint. She released several pieces of information that weren't privy to even her hardcore fans. One such information was that Oprah twice stole a movie role meant for her. Fans are familiar with the MoNique-Oprah beef that goes way back to 2009 after the premiere of the movie Precious. However, many were not aware that Oprah called up producers and directors to snatch movie roles from MoNique. According to the Queens of Comedy alum, one director once called her to explain to her how Oprah ended up in the movie The Butler. Lee Daniels came out and said, "I did offer MoNique The Butler, but as he said to me, he said, Mo, at the time I didn't have no power and I didn't have no money. So when Oprah said she wanted it, who played the lead role in The Butler? Oprah Winfrey." She again accused Oprah of repeating the same thing in a Richard Pryor biopic. In the same fashion, Oprah called up the director of the biopic and demanded the role. And since she had money to bankroll the movie, she got it, thus leaving MoNique empty-handed and looking for a job. She also blamed Tyler Perry for losing millions of dollars and demanded an apology from him. She explained that the Medea actor had labeled her difficult to work with, discouraging other directors and actors from working with her. She argued that Tyler Perry later recognized the harm she had caused her and apologized, which she secretly recorded. The comedian also called out Kevin Hart for disappointing her when she needed him the most. Explaining what happened to Sharpe, she claimed that when she was financially down, Kevin loaned her some money, which she paid back with interest, but that wasn't her beef. MoNique claimed that Hart promised to settle her issues with Tyler Perry and even called him so the two could work together. Hart then promised to partner with her to bring back her TV show, which excited her. The excited MoNique called together her staff and gave them the good news, asking them to start prepping to bring back the show. When her staff had finished their homework, they reached out to Kevin Hart's manager, who claimed that Kevin wanted nothing to do with MoNique. The confused MoNique called Kevin back, and he explained that it was a miscommunication, and he was going to rectify the situation. According to MoNique, it's been 2 years since Kevin said that, and she hasn't heard from him since. So, given all these revelations, it is understandable for some fans to think that Sharpe is intentionally bringing these controversial celebs to expose the industry and make some money while doing so. It's also easy to see why some sources are claiming that Mike Epps could be planning to end Shannon Sharpe and the Club Shay Shay with his scathing criticisms. Though Epps himself hasn't confirmed the rumors, it looks like that is what he's trying to do. But other fans also argue that Sharpe doesn't have any intention of exposing anybody. However, he's a businessman and can only serve his fans the people they want to see. And at this moment, many people wouldn't mind seeing Cat Williams or even MoNique back on the Club Shay Shay. Everyone is after the numbers, and so is Shannon Sharpe, so if he feels the controversial characters would bring in more viewership and sponsorship, then he's free to do so. So, for now, we wait and see how the drama unfolds between Shannon Sharpe and Mike Epps. This brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching.